Hey guys, this is RolloutReviews with Rollout Reviews, bringing you another big Hero 6 toy review. This time it is Hiro Hamada. Now, this is the Disney Store exclusive version of this figure. It has a slightly more premium paint job and a slightly different packaging, but the base mold is pretty much exactly the same as the standard release you'll find anywhere else. Now, all of the collectors out there that want to display their Disney Store exclusive, nicer looking figures on the card might be disappointed, because personally I think this packaging does not look quite as interesting as the standard release. It's less boxy and more 6 shaped, which is kind of cool. You have the Disney Store logo up there, but the packaging on all these figures, aside from the toy on the inside, is exactly the same. The back card is no different across all of these figures. They have the same image of San Francisco in the background and the same image of Baymax down below. At least the standard release had a little bit more variation and the actual character featured on the front. The only difference here is the name of the character on the side, in this case, Hiro. On the back you have all of the figures in the line, but not quite. These are the early preliminaries of these figures, and thus have slightly different molds. I think Baymax is an entirely different mold than the figure we actually ended up getting. Hiro has a different head sculpt, Honey Lemon has a different head sculpt, and the coloration on Wasabi no Ginger is almost completely different. Very strange, and personally I think this packaging is a little bit disappointing. It was very clearly designed way before the standard release packaging, I think. Now, these toys were designed by Bandai America, and the last toy line that I collected from them was the Thundercats figures from a couple years back. These are very comparable in quality to these. Fortunately, they're a fair bit better, and it's good to see that they've improved over the last couple years. Hiro looks excellent, especially in the premium color scheme. It's a much shinier purple than the standard flat purple on the normal release. It's a little bit inconsistent throughout. It's probably just quality control. You can see that one shoulder is slightly lighter than the other, and I only now noticed it in the bright lighting, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The molding is alright. His head sculpt is pretty decent. He's got a little bit of a blemish on his nose, but nothing too bad. It's a decent likeness, if nothing else. I really like how the red pegs there were integrated into his suit design. There are little red spheres on the super suit here. And so the fact that those are the pegs for the joint, that's some nice engineering. The articulation on this guy is pretty good. He's got a ball joint in his head, but it's slightly limited. I mean, it can tilt, it can turn, it can go up and down ever so slightly, but you're not going to get too much out of it. The arms only go out about this far, unfortunately, but go all the way around. They bend 90 degrees, and there's actually like a tiny little swivel in there. It's really cool how that was done. I haven't really seen that on figures of this scale very often. The legs, they go forward and back, a little bit hindered by this pocket here, but only on one side. The knees bend very disappointingly, like that's as far as they go. But there is that same rotation as there was in the elbow joint. Some nice details on his shoes and lower legs as well. Now this figure is about 3.5 inches, a little bit smaller than all of the others, him being, younger and shorter than the rest of the team. So he needs a little bit more plastic to make up for the price point. This here is the NurseBot Baymax in his compact mode. I can only assume he inflates and expands from this device, and it's very simple. It's completely hollow, just a solid chunk of plastic that does nothing. Of course you have Baymax's face there, but the details are minimal. The premium paint job is still present here, but it's very subtle, just like on the actual Baymax figure. The red has a slight sparkle to it. I doubt you can even see it on camera here. It's nice to have, but definitely not something I think was needed. If nothing else, I suppose technically, if you just want to get Hiro, he does come with a version of Baymax. Overall, this figure is pretty good. It is lacking a couple things I wish it had, namely in the articulation department. More movement in the head, a waist rotation, cuff swivels, maybe more movement in the legs, but it's more than adequate for any kid who just wants a Hiro figure after seeing the movie. And in that respect, I think this is really fun, and they will definitely enjoy it. I think this version of the figure looks a lot better than the standard release, but the standard release also looks okay too. I'd say don't go out of your way to get this version, but if you got a Disney store nearby, or the DisneyStore.com website is easily accessible and it's in stock, might as well. It's not a whole lot more expensive. This, being the main character of the movie, should be a must-buy to anyone who loves the movie or is, if nothing else, hyped to see it. So that is about it, guys, and this is IXRolloutIX, signing off.